Hi kids, welcome to Terry on Tuesday. Probably going to keep this short because I'm now filming on Monday morning, which is a late one for me. I normally try and get it done on the weekend, but too much going on, too busy, unfortunately. Kitchen and creation, bit of a mess at the moment, working on other costume stuff. But I can't remember what I said last week. I'll give you a quick recap. I went and bought 2 lengths of this pool noodle installation type stuff. I wrapped some aluminium wire, bendy wire, around it to see what the impressions are like, and it stayed on there. Then I got a scalpel, got the old sharp craft knife, and started hacking into it like so, just to see what sort of a spiral we can carve. And I quite like that because I think the final thing is going to be covered in something like white cloth that's going to be painted anyway, so it'll have the right shape. It won't have all this angularity on it. But I think that's a nice way to go. I also bought this. That is a kid's hula hoop. So when you take off all the sparkly tape and ribbon, you end up with a white hoop. Also inside, rattling, was a handful of pebble dash, white gravel, just to make it rattle. So I took that out as well. And as you'll see, my plan is to fit that onto said hoop. Fits perfectly, weighs almost nothing. Bear in mind, I'm not using all of this. Now, this is just a test. This will be my proper version, but I've still got plenty. I've probably got enough to make 1 horn anyway, and then I'll have room for a spare on here. But yeah, it fits in really nicely, super light. So this is going to be mounted into this. Now this tube will end up being cut in half. I'm probably going to be ending up using something like half of it or just under half of it, sort of like that much. And then I'll probably end up cutting it in half again, and each half will be popped onto the metal greebly that arrived in the post a couple of days ago from MB. Thank you, Mr. MB. He's put big bolts on there, and you notice this is on an angle for the horns. We've even got some flat washers to go on there to hold it together. I don't know if you can hear that noise. Sounds like a really noisy car engine, but we shall work through it. Yeah, so this is a wee bit long, so I'll have to saw it shorter. But he obviously gave me more than I needed just in case. If the angle of this doesn't look quite right, I mean, it looks right to me, this kind of almost 45 degrees from there to there. If this angle isn't right, I can always get the old hammer on it, bang it out a little bit, bang it in a little bit, just to adjust the angle a tiny bit without breaking the weld. And also, if the curve is not enough or too much, I can put it down, hammer it, straighten it out, or put it over something and hammer it to bend it. So a little bit of blacksmithing going on. But the plan is, where's the helmets? To find the right center spot. Obviously it'll be in the center, along the center, but how low down or how high up? Quite low, I imagine. This goes through like that, leaving this protruding out just enough to put the horns and the center collar on. Pardon me. So the center collar will be a piece of tube about that big, like a kind of drain pipe tube, which would be roughly the same size as diameter as this. That will clip over there, and the horns will go either side. So happy with that. Just for the fun of it, what I'm going to do is connect either side of this hula hoop before I cut it onto the metal piece, just to show you. Oh, it's tight. It's tight. It's a tight curve. Well, it's going to take a bit of bending, I think. There we go. You can see how tight the curve is there. May need hammering out a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to wreck my tube by forcing that onto there now, because it'll pull this hoop into a weird shape. But that is looking good. You know, the horn will be about that long, up to about there. Obviously it'll have this on it, all the way up to here. So there's our horn. You'll have a point on the end. We'll have all the spirally detail going up there. What's the angle? Oh, that's the front of the hand. Well, let's do it sideways so you can see it. So put that under there. There we go. So that goes on in there. Obviously it'll go in quite far back. I'll have to shorten off the threaded piece. That goes all the way up there, looking pretty good. And the same up this side. Then I can adjust the curvature of this metal piece by hammering the living life out of it. Yeah, so I think we have a plan. I'm reasonably happy. I think the next video will be less talk and more do, and I'll be working on reproducing this twisted rope style pattern a lot neater than that, all the way along here, just to get used to it. And if it turns out successful, I'll use a bit of this for one horn, but then I'll also transfer the same pattern to this piece, which is our masterpiece. And yeah, looks like a plan. Again, what I like about it is this weighs almost nothing. This is very heavy duty, it's solid steel. Once this is all in place and tightened up, I think it will be adjustable, not adjustable, but more in the case of you can take it apart for shipping. And once we've got the horns the right length, it'll be even lighter again. So there'll be a little bit of wobble. You're always going to have a bit of wobble on these horns, you know, no matter how you do them. But if I wanted to, which I'm probably not going to do for this, I could put some glue inside the tube and put it onto the metal piece and just glue them in place. But I don't think they're going anywhere. I could even just wrap them up in like masking tape and just force them onto the edge so that they're stuck. But I don't, because of the curvature and the angle, I think they're not going to go anywhere. They'll be quite decent. Talking of masterpieces, I saw Oppenheimer yesterday. Check on my channel for yesterday's video for a mini review with no spoilers, but well worth a watch. But have plenty of toilet breaks beforehand. You heard it here. Okay, a little bit of an addendum here. We did a test. As you can see down this end, it's a mixture of cutting with the scalpel, and where it gets scruffier is where I started using my Dremel tool, just trying to carve a little bit away at a time while rotating it like this all the way up here. And at some point I decided to stop about here. I was like, do you know what? I'm not too happy with the inconsistency and the scruffiness. So I went back to cutting with the knife. So as you can see, I've chopped in there and in there at an angle all the way around. Now there's bits that are close together, obviously, but I think that once I get the depth and the angle right is actually better, because this is going to be covered, remember. But so we just need the trench all the way around in a spiral. However, the angle of that spiral I'm not happy with, because that is more like a rope, and it needs to be more of an angle up here, almost like a 45 degrees again. These are a little bit too gentle. So as you can just about see some red marker there where I've marked out the spiral, I will make sure that I've got a much steeper angle on my next piece. I mean, it's not bad, it's not terrible, but I think it could be better. You know, if that was supposed to be like a prop piece of rope, you might get away with it, but I think the angle needs to be better. So I'm going to do a steeper angle on the second piece of this. Okay, so as you can see under the shiny light, there are actually 2 spirals of sellotape, which I've marked the top edge of each one on a slightly steeper angle than the previous foam. But as you can see, I've done all the way, kept them as equally spaced as possible. A couple of wee mistakes here and here with the marker, but you can see that this one goes all the way around and comes down to there, to there. So it's every other one. So I've got to put another one in between. So we've got more of an angle on them. Now, I think my plan will be leave the tape on for now and burrow this spiral all the way with the scalpel. I'm not going to use the Dremel, I don't think. I think I'll do this with the scalpel. I may even pull the Dremel in to snip those bits out, or I'll just get an even sharper blade. But yeah, we'll see how we go with that. So like with every new or interesting technique, it takes a whole lot of practice to find something that works. But once I do the same thing on this line now, I can peel the tape off and see what we have. Excellent. That's going to do it for me for this week. I know it's just a sit and talk one, but I wanted to reassure you and Mr. E, who's eagerly, patiently waiting for this helmet to be finished, that I am giving it thought and making some slow progress towards the finish line. Thank you again to MB for assembling and welding this, together for me based on my very poor design. So that arrived really quickly. So I do owe you a Big Mac or whatever it was for that. Cheers. And as regards Bloody Students, I'm still gearing up to film in September. We've got a couple of scenes to do. We're not going to do the entire movie, obviously, and we now have a full cast. So go to bloodystudents.co.uk, link in the description, if you want to keep up with what's going on there. And I will see you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.